Hey everybody, before we get started, I just want to remind you this episode brought to you by our patrons like Ohio Comics, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Den, Nestor Flores, Rogue Robin, Sodason0424, and Video Gamer 75. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and everything helps us out. Thanks for your support, everybody. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is time once again to talk about Star Wars Legion by Fantasy Flight Games. Yes, as I said in the video, which came out yesterday, there was going to be a stream about stuff. And the stream happened, and also some articles, and also a couple hours before the stream and the articles, I think the Asmodee web store leaked these things with some assets that you will see in this production. Good job, Frenchie. But yes, confirm the leaks. Cad Bane, Padme Amidala, BX-series Commando droids, and ARC troopers announced for Star Wars Legion with lots of goodies. Guys, I am vibrating over here. Oh, this is hype as all get out. Hype as heck. Heck and hop. Actually, I could use the F word if I wanted. We're like 30 seconds in. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's how excited I am. I'm too excited to drop the F-bombs. So, we're going to cover all the stuff that they talk about in stream, in article, in preview, and all that whatnot, and maybe some other news stuff at the end. Anyway, it's going to be rad. So, settle in. This video is going to be 10,000 years long. Alright, firsty. The Padme Amidala Operative expansion. So when the leaks came out and stuff, I mentioned that I personally thought that this could, basically go either way. That it's possible that she could be a commander or she could be an operative. Looking at some of her command card options, I think it makes sense that they delegated her as an operative, because of how it worked out. And she's got a lot of interesting factors. She's very, very useful as a support unit as an operative. And honestly, with her point range and stuff, a very good choice for the Republic. So, Padme is a single unit operative. It looks like she's 90 points. She's got 6 health, 3 courage. Shame about that courage not being able to bubble it to people, but anyway. She's got the old surge to hit and surge to crit, 2 speed, white defense dice, but, she's wearing a fucking body stocking. What the fuck do you expect? There, I found my F-bombs. She's got 3 black martial arts and melee, and then 3 black Pierce 1, range 1 to 2 for her pistol. But also, as you can see in this little collection here, she can also, for 5 points, she can loot an E5 blaster, and apparently the moment she picks it up, it gets, like, a red die in there. Don't ask me how that shit works. But that gives her a range 1 to 3 option with still Pierce 1, which is not awful. So, basically, if you want to keep her lean and slim, you can give her just the normal range 1 to 2, pretty typical for commanders with pistols. Got some punch. Or, for 5 more points, you could give her a regular threat range. And honestly, remember, this is a Clone Wars army. Clone army. They have fire support. That's a lot of good action you can get in there. Especially considering Padme's keywords are that she has quick thinking, so she can aim token, dodge token to herself. She has authoritative, which basically means your comms relay. When you would be issued an order, you may issue that order to a friendly unit in range 1 to 2 instead, which is baller, especially with the way operatives usually work to order themselves. So when you play her command cards, if you don't actually want to put the order on Padme, you can slap it on somebody else at range 1 to 2. She has the exemplar keyword. When a friendly unit range 1 of 2, or friendly units at range 1 to 2 of you can spend your green tokens. So basically, she has a keyword version of Clone Trooper at range 1 to 2. Which means with quick thinking, she not only buffs herself, but also your allies, any ally too, so more synergy. And she's got nimble, of course, because she's a rebel type unit, and sharpshooter too, so much like Leia, fuck your cover. Honestly, that sharpshooter 2 with the range 1 to 3 with a red die pierce 1, that is an infantry unit loses a mini. So it's really worth those 5 points. And it looks like she's got command, training, gear, and arsenal upgrades. Obviously, for that thing. The pack spread looks like it contains an emergency stims. We've got some tapping upgrades I don't quite follow. That might be an offensive push. There's a new training upgrade we don't know what it does called situational awareness that's in this spread. I'm wondering if it might give you danger sense. And there's some other stuff out there that I don't know. We can also see 2 of Padme's command cards. The first one we see is her 1-pip. Our fate is in your hands. So basically, she gains Danger Sense 2 at the start of the activation phase. Padme may transfer a number of suppression tokens from trooper units at range 1 to 2, so not friendly even, to herself. For each token transferred, she gains 1 dodge token, getting up to 2 dodge tokens. So basically, this gives her a pseudo-inspire. Padme issues an order to herself, which with authoritative, she can basically relay off to another unit. She gains Danger Sense 2, so for every suppression token she has, she gets to roll an extra defense die. She gains up to 2 dodge tokens, and she can siphon off suppression from your allies. So, she doesn't have, like, Inspiring, and she doesn't have, like, Commander Courage bubbles, but with her 1 pip, you can totally free up a couple of your clone boys, and give her dodge tokens to spend, and give other people dodge tokens to spend. It's great. Also, we don't really know I don't know necessarily what stuff like Divulge and Permanent does yet, because there's no RRG update, but basically her 3-pip is Diplomatic Cover. So Permanent, I assume, means that this is active all the time. If you divulge Diplomatic Cover, we'll talk about that in a second, Padme gets Secret Mission. If it was not divulged, she gains Reliable One instead, which means she gains a Surge token every round for free. Divulge, deploy unit step, so you can show it at the deploy unit step. Padme Amidala gains Infiltrate, and when she's deployed, she gains a dodge token. It must be played during round 1. So basically, it's, funnily enough, it's Darkness Descends. So, strategically, this gives you a lot of really interesting things you can do with Padme. On the one hand, much like R2, she's a cheap source of alternate victory points, well, relatively cheap. If you use Diplomatic Cover, you can show it to your opponent. She gains a dodge token and an Infiltrate pop. And she's got Nimble, so she can keep it. And she gets Secret Mission. If you keep it to yourself, though, if you decide you're not going that route based on the board you see, because it's only at deploy units, Padme gets Reliable One, and she has Exemplar, which means, much like putting some Phase 2s in your army, your clones get free Surge tokens to spend, too. And not even your clones. You can, because she's an operative, you have to take a commander. You could combo this with Obi-Wan, or I'm sure the future Anakin will have a lot of synergy with Padme. Maybe even have teamwork her. We don't know. They could do some different options. But yeah, it's really cool. And we don't know what Aggressive Negotiations does, but it is her 2-pip command card. It's probably offensive-based, whereas Our Fate is in Your Hands is kind of more defensive-based, and Diplomatic Cover is more positioning. All in all, well, number 1, I think Padme's a great add to the army. Got a decent wound pool. Defense is a little shaky, but she can do quick thinking to get herself the tokens she needs, and she has Nimble, the pretty standard for Rebel stuff. The authoritative and exemplar activities are really, really good synergy to support your army. And her command cards seem to have a lot of good support options, too. And in a fight, she can mess some people up. Sharpshooter 2, Pierce 1 by default. Again, I don't see any reason why, unless it's entirely possible points, could be tight. This is the Republic we're talking about. You might not find those 5 points, but I would try and find those 5 points because, like I said, 1 red with Sharpshooter 2 with Pierce 1 is a dead enemy mini every turn. And, possibly 2 with that white, depending. She does have Surge to hits. And also, it's a great opportunity to fire support into her Sharpshooter and Pierce, have Padme, lay into those guys with a squad of clone troopers behind her. Just fuck some people up. It's tight, okay? It's very tight. But that's all we got on Padme so far. There aren't any weird tokens in her setup, so we'll skip all that. And we will move on to talking about Mr. Cad Bane. Alrighty, so Cad Bane is the first, first operative for the Separatists. He's got a lot of interesting little tricks there. So he looks to be about 125 points. He's 1 mini. He also has 6 wounds, 3 courage, white dice with Surge, which I know is making a lot of people uncomfortable. But you are a white die army. Speed 2. He has Jump 1, Bounty, Danger Sense 2, Sharpshooter 1, and Steady. He has also the 3 black martial arts, and then he's got his pistols, range 1 to 2, 4 black, Pierce 1. I think they've gone for he shoots both guns at once as opposed to Gunslinger, But also, with his dice pool, 4 black, Pierce 1 with Surges is pretty effective. He's got Training, Comms, which is pretty fun for droids, Gear, Arsenal, and Grenades. He can take grenades. So he's got some fun stuff in there. We can see one of his Arsenal upgrades, possibly his only, but I don't know for sure. Electro Gauntlets, which are a 4 red melee, though they do tap. But still, 4 red melee with his Surge to hit. You have a special ability. You can perform moves with an engaged unit that has one or more immobilized tokens, even while this is exhausted, so you gain the permanent ability to do that. It also has immobilized 3, which, keep in mind, it's for red, so they're gonna take him, and is suppressive on a melee weapon, and costs only 10 points. Now, before we talk about his... Well, actually, let's talk about his command cards, and let's talk about what people are feeling. So, his 3-pip, is... My Cad Bane isn't great, but that's because I don't have tubes coming out of my cheeks. I can't really read exactly what's going on here, but basically, if you divulge it, you can place a Cad Bane some kind of Cad Bane token within range 1 of something. And then if you divulge it during the place unit steps, you get to place stuff, and it's got a weapon on there, a blast weapon. So I think he gets to place some bomb tokens or something, or possibly some smoke tokens, or maybe he just has smoke grenades in his pack in there. Anyway, he gets to place some of his special tokens, which can explode. And then I think the reveal is you do not deploy Cad Bane, and then you can oh, okay. You don't deploy Cad Bane, you place the Bane tokens, and then in round 1, if you divulged it, you can have him appear, and the tokens go off. So you can kind of do some Shanghai stuff with where he appears. It's really complicated, and the text is not big enough for this. We can't see his 2-pip, though. They revealed that on stream. Cad Bane in 1 unit at the start and end of his activation, he can transfer any number of his suppression tokens to any number of trooper units at range 1 to 2. Each trooper unit that gains 1 suppression token in this way also gains 1 immobilized token. So, Cad Bane gets suppressed, does some stuff. You can just shunt those suppression off onto somebody else, and then they gain immobilized tokens, and if you have electro gauntlets, you can perform moves while engaged with units that are immobilized. So, yes, players are concerned because Cad seems like he kind of has the white die curse, Even with surges, white dice aren't great. They're, a 2 out of 3 conversion? Because, no, it's 3 out of 3 with surge, isn't it? God, I don't... Anyway. White dice are bad. He does have surge to block. He does have danger sense, and he has a very robust courage pool, so he can actually take those, and then with his I'm in control, he can get rid of them if he needs to. But indeed, it does seem a little squishy. I think, though, that is intentional. Cad Bane is kind of a cool guy, tough guy. Also, first of all, if Cad Bane had red defense dice, you should riot. He's wearing just a leather duster. That's cool, but that's not armor. Red die is for actual armor plates, okay, kids? Get over yourselves. But also, I think with his jump and steady, that's right, he has steady. He gets to move and then do his 4-die Pierce 1, Sharpshooter 1 attack at the end of it for free. And he's speed 2. But he has jump, like I said. I think the idea is that, Cad Bane can, hop over a fence, pew-pew a guy, and then hop back over it, or hop around corners or something. He's got a lot of mobility. If you get caught out, Danger Sense will look out for him, by giving him extra die to roll. But ideally, like I said, you don't get seen at all. I mean, that's even what I Make the Rules now is about. You don't even deploy Cad Bane right away. You set up some shenanigans, cup game shit, and then pop out of nowhere and do probably a lot of damage, since that's 2 reds and a black on Surge to crit, which looks like blast and suppressive. Very nasty action. And also, Electro Gauntlets with his ability to disengage, basically, with units that are immobilized, and a lot of different ways to deal immobilized tokens and suppression tokens. He sounds kind of like he's a distractor or a harrier. You send him around the sides of your unit, you gum up a major enemy, possibly a melee unit, but also you can just force them into a melee and immobilize the shit out of them and then run away. And just in general, he works to keep your enemy locked down, surprised, and suppressed. Time will tell if his initial costs are worth it, and if they aren't, well, they'll give him points adjustment down to 100 or something. But I think that a lot of people are overplaying the whole, he costs too much for white defense dice. I know those generally have played worse, and a lot of that is subjective. Players just feel like Danger Sense isn't worth it or whatever, even if I'm sure when in playtesting and stuff, there's, mathematical calculations. I think the real legitimate concern is that he is 125 points. You are playing a separatist army. you guys would much rather him be the 91 and Padme be 120. Well, they wouldn't really want Padme to be 125, but you know what I mean, right? Like, you'd prefer if he was in that range because that's a better, not comparison, but that's a better region for your point cost to be asked. This is a serious cut into your points. But still, I think he's got a lot of tricks, and as always, I think I said this, was it in the Saber or the AAT? I said in a recent video, it might have actually been Super Battle Droids. Anyway, I said in a recent video that people are very weird about terrain. They're very weird about discounting how important terrain can be, probably because you can't count on it, but, like, hopefully we're getting more. Let us start talking about those special forces now then, huh? And so, as expected, the first Special Forces options for the CIS, the Separatists, are BX-series Commando droids, and there was much rejoicing. So, unfortunately, the spread of this hides a lot of shenanigans, which upsets me a lot, but whatever. So, hey, I think the most important thing here is, hey droids, do you want a unit that doesn't die? These guys look to be, is that 22? It's the strike team, so it's probably 22 points. They have 1 wound, 2 courage, which, remember, droid troopers. They have surge 2, I'm gonna guess hit, but it could be crit, who knows. Anyway, as I was saying, hi, droid players. Do you want a unit that doesn't actually fold over like a cheap piece of tissue paper? Try BX-series Commando droids. They have red defense dice and impervious. That's right. They can block pierce. They seem to be heavily countered by the fact that they have the AI dodge move keyword. That's right. Their AI doesn't include attack. They either move or dodge. Interesting. They have a heavy weapons team, obviously. We'll talk about some of those options in a second. They have impervious, they have scale, so they have Grievous's ability to just flip out and climb and jump over everything. It's pretty sweet. They have, I want to say that's Scout 3, which is, nuts. But it could just be Scout 2, and they have Sharpshooter 1. They have a black die for unarmed normally, and they do in fact have E5 blasters, but they're called Commandos, so I'm going to assume they're probably at least minimum black dice. And unfortunately, like I said, the spread doesn't show, which is sad. But just by default, and they have speed 2, it looks like we can see from the other stuff. Just by default, these are a very interesting space, right? Without even getting into their weapons. These are a droid unit with impervious red saves. They're masters of mobility. They have scout, and honestly, with some of their upgrades, and we see some of them obscured, so we can't be sure about everything out there. But with some of their upgrades, these guys honestly, until we get a dedicated unit with Guardian, these guys seem like a great group of bodyguards with Grievous, which makes sense because in the cartoon there were a couple episodes where Grievous showed up with these guys as his backup dancers, basically. Now, hey, remember how I said you want droids that don't fold over? Hey, for 18 points, you can give these guys deflector shields, just like the Citadel arc, which I watched recently, and they gain shielded 2 and recharge 2. When they recover, you flip 2 shield tokens, and you have 2 shield tokens. It's very expensive, but that means that on your possible, assuming the strike team does have it, which I assume they do because there's 2 sets of deflector shield upgrades in here and 2 sets of vibro swords. So I'm guessing that the kit is presuming you will be able to run a couple of these guys in parallel. But that's pretty nasty. That means that your sniper team, if you've got them set up, can be incredibly hard to dig out because shields are great. They're dodge tokens that can block crits even, and you get 2 of them. And you have red impervious saves too. They're just tanky boys. And then, hey, the other thing is they also give them vibro swords as an arsenal upgrade. So they at least have an arsenal upgrade, and it looks like they have heavy weapon training and EMP, or grenade slots, because they have EMP grenades. We'll probably talk about those in the next slide where you can actually see them. But they have the new situational awareness thing. And they have a saboteur, so some kind of mine, Hirsch's mines. Are they electrical? Are they something? I don't know. We can't see anything. We'll have to wait for further previews. Because unfortunately, the announcement articles were super skimpy, but they did give us these 2 beauties. But yeah, vibro swords. So, for 6 points, you can give your vibro swords your BX-series Commando droids. Sorry, I'm overthinking it. You can give your Commando droids a red-white melee weapon. Keeping in mind these guys are surge to hit, it would seem. So, that's pretty good. Oh, and you get charge for 6 points. Which means that AI move is no longer a problem. So that's why I say these guys with their scale and stuff are probably a really good forward advance unit to go with, say, somebody like Grievous or Dooku. They can just hop over difficult terrain, they can clamber up stuff, And if they touch an enemy at the end of their movement, they get to melee with, I'm presuming, is that 4? Yeah, it looks like 4 on the card. So that's 4 reds and 4 whites. Oh, actually, heck, you can actually see the top card in the spread. So let me see if I can, let me see if my eyes can adjust to perceive what the cost is on those guys. I want to say 60. It seems like a 6, and then it's an 8 or a 0. Let's hope it's 60 and not 68. But yes, you're gonna get some really interesting potential out of these guys. And like I said, with charge, it's entirely possible that AI move is not the worst thing that could happen to you. But yes, they seem pretty strong. I like the fact that they can be very tanky, they can be aggressive front loaders, or they can be long rangers, because we can see that they have a sniper rifle. Now, it's very expensive, it looks like. It's 30 points, but they get range 1 to 5, 2 reds. They have lethal 1, which is a new keyword, and they have immune deflect. So it was said on the stream that basically the way this is modeled is the Clone Wars armies have worse rifles. The technology's not as advanced, but they have better soldiers using them. So the BX gets a 2 red attack at range 1 to 5. They get lethal 1, which means you have to spend an aim token to gain Pierce 1. They do not have high velocity, but they do have immune deflect. This means that Jedi units cannot use deflect, period, on them. So basically they may as well not spend dodge tokens. And you've got 2 red dice with surge to hit, and then you can spend an aim token if you can get one, to get Pierce 1. Pretty nasty. It's expensive, but pretty nasty, and fits fine in your cadre of droids. And then, like I said, they have a Mind Trooper who costs less. We'll see what exactly he can bring to the table at a later date. But yeah, love the customizability of these things. The same is reflected in the minis. I haven't shown you any of the beautiful minis pictures we can get, because that would be a slide for me to just gush and take even more time. But there's a lot of variability and posability these guys have. These are all hard plastic, and they've talked about how they've really amped up. ARC Troopers, for instance, who we'll talk about in a second, can be modeled kneeling, standing, in air with their jetpacks. You know, BXs can be modeled with shields, with vibro swords. I'm going to assume not both, but I'm not sure. You never know. Or, you know, standing or crouching, and a lot of other interesting options. And, yeah, they're really swag. I like what they've done a lot with these guys, and they seem very true to the source material. They're very mobile, they're very fidgety with that AI dodge move. They can be real nasty melee enforcers. They can be incredibly tanky, which is accurate too. Like, you might think, wow, are these droids really supposed to be, after all the shit I talked about Cad Bane and his duster, are these guys really supposed to be that tough? Yes, actually, some of these guys are very tough. I think it's in their debut episode, like, one of them gets blasted in half, but he keeps crawling after, like, Cody and Rex until they shoot it in the head. Like, for their thin skeletal frames, BXs are very resilient. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about my boys, the ARC Troopers. And then, last but certainly not least, ARC Troopers. That's right, these boys are coming here. So, ARC Troopers, they come in 21-point heavy weapons team and 72-point, looks like 4-man squads. 1 wound, 2 courage, red defense die. No surges, as is pretty typical of clones, but they do have impervious. Also, they have Scout 2, and Sharpshooter 1, and Tactical 1. Yeah, they're pretty baller. So Scout 2, which really does look different from the Scout number on the droid, so they may really be Scout 3. Jeez. Anyway, yeah, they seem pretty good by default. So, no surges obviously is a complication, but they do still have some decent dice to start with. They upgrades, they will presumably have training, comms, 2 gear slots, so they can equip a lot of stuff. And also get grenades, and we'll talk about some of those things in a second. What do I want to cover first? Jeez, I don't know. I mean, just intrinsically, they seem like they've got a pretty good setup. Just by default, they've got some different weapons. They have an expert, they have combat training, rather, I should say, which is their melee, which is a black-white for each guy. They do also have both the DC-17 hand blasters for black-white at range 1 to 2, and then DC-15A blasters at range 1 to 3 for 1 black. So if you get them into close quarters, which you can with one of their upgrades that you can see very clearly displayed on screen, I'm just not talking about it yet, you can get them up close and have more damage potential, or just get in there and fire at range. With Tactical 1, after they perform a standard move, they do in fact get 1 aim token. Though I do believe that jump is not standard. But anyway, they have Scout 2. Very brutal. And impervious with the red dice, yeah. Arc Trooper armor is even better than regular armor. So, first off, they have a gear slot item, JT12 jetpacks, which is for Arc Troopers or Captain Rex. So I don't know why my voice freaked out just there. But I'm super excited. Rex gets a jetpack too. That is a buffer. Oh, and also when equipped to Rex, it's 5 points cheaper, so it's 10 points by default, but on Rex it's 5. Probably because he's only one guy. And you gain jump too. So these guys are very mobile, very damage resistant. They're still clone troopers, so they can do sharing. They've got Scout. This means that with Rex's scouting party, and they've got 2 gear slots, so they can agree on this. Also, you can make that Scout 3, by the way. But with Arc Troopers, with Rex, you guys are able to drag a lot of units out of your deployment zone. Do that the one that's coming in the next Battlefield expansion, that's name I immediately forgot. The rollout one where you can place vehicles outside of your deployment zone. You can get a lot of your force out of the deployment area on turn 0, basically. Which, as some people are already saying, can be used to support units like R2 or Padme pulling a secret mission. Padme especially, because she gets to infiltrate. So, yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. So the jetpacks are really cool, and I love that they patch this in for Rex. Hopefully there's enough spare jetpacks you can glue onto the back of Rex, maybe. So, they do definitely come with the new situational awareness card, whatever that does. It's only 2 points, it looks like. They come with both Fives and Echo as standalone cards, which have a new little gooble there, which looks like they say Wounds 2. So it may be that Echo and Fives, being named characters, get an extra wound as a mini, which is cool. Especially when paired with the heavy weapon team. We just don't know what they do. They appear to not just add weapons, but also add some keywords. You can also just go for the generic DC-15X Arc Trooper and get a red-black sniper at range 1 to 5, which is critical 1, as befitting a DC weapon. Is immune to deflect and has lethal 1 also, and it's 31 points. So you can get your snipers in. Critical is pretty decent, gives them some flexibility. They're already sharpshooter 1, so that means you can safely... Well, possibly ignore, I should say, the power of cover. Sharpshooter 1 plus that moves cover. You're in a clone army, so you can potentially fire support with these boys. If Rex uses his 1 command card to give a DC-15, you get a lot of a regular DC-15, I should say, guy. Extra range, because there's already ranged 4. They're expensive, so you take them. And you can do a lot of shenanigans here, okay? And immune deflect is for your whole pool. And if you have an aim token to spend, which you might, because these guys are tactical, if you move shoot, because it's not a cumbersome rifle or anything, you can pull off a Pierce 1. Like I said, critical 1's pretty good. So that also gives them slight armor damaging potential. So with the mobility of jetpacks, these guys are very interesting snipers who can move around a lot and do a lot of cool things that I like. We can see that ascension cables are in here that are a tap. I'm going to assume that that's like a... It's probably like a, maybe you gain scale for a round or something, because there's a supply thing, the Magnock Harpoon, also coming in that one aspect that gets out there. So maybe it gives you scale for a round, or maybe it lets you actually, like, pull yourself around, literally. Like, maybe it gives you, like, a jump 1 activation, I don't know. We'll see. It's cheap, though, and Padme also seems to have it. I thought that was her Ascension gun for a second, but no, it seems to be cables, which does something different than grapples. Also, EMP Droid Poppers. So you have EMP grenades. They're 3 points. They are finally a good ion weapon. They do not exhaust. They are range 1. They're black. And while this weapon is included in your pool, your attack pool gains ion 1. So it doesn't stack. It's not like ion 4 or ion 6, God forbid. But it's 3 points to gain ion 1. Yeah, that's brutal. And it's a black die. Expect to see these things everywhere. And I hope to gosh they are coming in those... the Clan Ren and Inferno Squad upgrades or something, because Rebs and stuff are gonna want those. But yes, that's a very decent way to bog down droids or bog down vehicles. remember how I said that, Commando droids can be pretty scary when they're bum rushing you in melee? Slap them with droid poppers, kill some of their actions. You can definitely still hurt them. And, get you some impact, like getting a tank's weak spot. We talked about in our AT episode about how you really don't want to get anybody in your rear square. That's real bad news if they have EMP grenades in there. They slap those in your back when they've got some some free impact, or in your sides if you're a saber or a occupier. You're gonna start losing actions, and it's gonna hurt the economy of those units, because that is one of the things that makes certain vehicles really useful, is their double actions and just their raw potential out of their attacks, with like arsenal, so they can get multiple attacks in a single action. Barrage, they can double tap, lots of other stuff. Ion will suck for them. And the airspeeder is still immune. So all in all, ARC troopers look really interesting. So they don't even, I'm kind of surprised they don't get demo, because that's a thing that ARCs do. Maybe they're saving that for clone commandos. I don't know. Or maybe, because I know that they have those things, maybe Echo and Fives can do that later. I don't think so though, because there's only ions and, surge and dodge tokens in there. There's not any cool, sick detonating token seen in the spread, but the ability to run these as basically a 2-man squad of like one guy and Fives and one guy and Echo seems kind of neat. We'll have to see more as more previews come out. All in all, very pleased. I'm a little sad that they did decide to go the full 4-man route, and that cost 72 points, but that was also how they've been portrayed in the past. So you're seeing a lot of interesting options come out. They have similar flavor to how other snipers have worked, but the baseline units are really interesting in how they operate, and you can do a lot of fun things. Like, they have comms, so that's really good. You can HQ uplink these guys. You can comms relay these guys if you need to. Training upgrades can be really useful. We'll have to see what situational awareness does, but I don't know. What would be good on these guys? Sentinel Overwatch would be good, because they've got range 1 to 3, and with their regular blasters, and then they don't have high velocity, so they don't care about that. So you could do a snipe and shoot for red, black, black with crit 1, lethal 1 if you wanted it. They already have tactical 1, which is why I assume they don't come with offensive push. So I don't know. There's a lot of fun stuff you could get in there. If you want to keep them mobile, you could give them endurance. They don't really have a good melee, so that's out. But you could do so not ferocity, but hunter. They do have snipers. That is a pretty popular combo. We'll have to see what situational awareness does. They don't have low profile and stuff, so I don't think duck and cover is the way to go. That's kind of seems to be the route we're going with these. Like the GCW era base guys, they both came with low profile and the kit for duck and cover. So they kind of have the ability to, reposition across open territory, and when somebody tries to shoot at them, they can go whoop and suddenly be in heavy cover, basically. Whereas both the Commando droids and the ARC troopers seems to go with the red dice impervious. I'll just take my chances on my red dice, and if you've got a Pierce in there, I still have a good chance to soak it, basically. Kind of stuff, So, very interesting, very cool. Can't wait. And like I said, they got a lot of pose options in there, too. It's real swag. And so, that is the articles and the previews we have for all those new units. Last I checked, they weren't even up on the upcoming page, so I have no idea when these are coming out. But hopefully things are going okay. I know that there are a lot of industry-wide delays on production and stuff because of this whole horrible coronavirus thing going on and the whole exporting from China. That said, based on the upcoming page, B2s and Phase 2s are set to release on the 28th. I think I said possibly the 21st in my last episode about them, but yeah, it looks like the 28th is that they're set. The tanks, basically both of them are still saying February, but don't have their date confirmed. But I've also heard some people say from their gaming stores that their game stores say that the tanks will be out at the same time. I'm not really sure what's going on where with that. It's entirely possible all 4 of these will drop the 28th, and just we haven't sorted out the great clusterfuck that is communication. Or it may be that the tanks are slightly delayed, or it's also possible that they may not release everywhere. That's happened with a couple of these big blobby releases lately with FFG. But hopefully we should be on point for Phase 2s and B2s, and hopefully the tanks to all get out of the way in February. The Battlefield expansion in March. And we should see Cassian and Iden, and K2 obviously, in April according to plan. And that means that hopefully all these guys are going to hit in May, which should be in about 3 months, which is the usual release window. I don't know if they will all hit there or if they'll like double them up or something. I mean, you're only releasing the singular Battlefield expansion in one of those months. You think you could probably squeeze in a little extra there. Maybe, get some patterns out. FFG? And based on the Yonder leak schedule, we should probably next month be expecting Clan Ren and Inferno Squad to be announced as a set. We'll have to see how they do it there. And then the next sets will be Republic ATRT and Stap Riders. And then we don't know. The leaks don't go any further than that. So that's another couple of months. So that should be all of our Legion releases until about July. And then, I don't know, we'll have some big dicks swinging for Gen Con maybe. I'm expecting a Mandalorian-themed clone scum starter, I should say. And also potentially, I am thinking that some other big selling points later in the year may be Civil War era hover tanks, of which there are a couple canonical or semi-canonical options to choose. We'll have to see. But a lot of interesting options. It sounds like we're starting to get Special Forces and just Troopers with jump. So that'll be super interesting. Clan Ren will probably also have jump to kind of solidify them as a mobility unit. A lot of other options. I'm expecting the next commander for... Well, also, I should say, there may or may not be specialist packs announced for Clone Wars in there somewhere. That could be another big selling point to announce or release at a Gen Con. At some point, there will need to be secondary sets of heavies for these guys. Don't know what they're going to do, but they could do a lot of interesting things there. They've got 2 supports. I really don't know what Separatist would do with Creature Troopers, if anything, but clones should get Blurg Riders, which will probably be akin to the Dewbacks, or Dewback. No great tauntauning, but hopefully no Dewbackle. The second set of I was going to say commanders. The next set of commanders for these units, I don't necessarily know. With Separatists, goodness knows they could use a cheap one. I don't play Separatists, I shouldn't say we. Maybe you could get Poggle the Lesser in there. He's kind of a scumlord. He looks like a squishy guy who could be like 80 or 90 points. I'm expecting the next commander for Republic will be Anakin. They're finally going to bust that one out now that they've given them a cheaper option. They've given them an operative. So we're going to get big boy swinging Anakin, possibly with ability to play Ahsoka later. She's probably the second operative they're going to release for them. But we'll see. I don't really know there. Commanders for the Separatists, again, not sure who they want to go. There's a couple of guys they could figure out for various things. I think they would, at this point, want to go cheaper, and we'll have to see what they decide to do. Special Forces, I'm pretty sure the next one will be, they will be the melee-focused. It'll be Magna Guards for Separatists, and then it'll be either Jedi Temple Guards or Senate Guards / Senate Commandos. To kind of counterpoint the Royal Guards is a different setup you can do and look and fit in. And there's some interesting things they can do with that. Those are my rough guesses there. GCW stuff, I don't know. Like I said, I expect there's going to be a third round of heavies, which will be their own pretty classy ones in there. I don't know what we're going to do. We've already got the second core unit, so what's the third core unit for Separatists and for Republic? Don't even know. I'm seeing a lot of hints for clone snowtroopers. But other than that, I don't know. I'd like to see some Umbarans or something. If we're getting weird, I think that Aqua Droids should be a Separatist Special Forces unit with Infiltrate. Kind of seems what they were doing. I expect their second Operative will probably be Asajj. I just think they didn't want to do her first because with Dooku and Grievous, they've already got a lot of Globat guys out there doing a lot of stuff, and there's not much else you want to work in there. Other than that, any speculation is good speculation. We could see all kinds of stuff. Don't know. I gotta be honest, while they could, I really don't know if they're gonna announce sequel trilogy stuff, because I don't think Disney's making a big marketing push there anymore, now that the trilogy's done. And while I am okay with Rise of Skywalker, I know that it is also another controversial thing, so I don't know how that works out for your market share. We may just be seeing reprints of GCW stuff for a while. I know there's some people who are super excited for sequel era factions. Anyway, this is all rampant speculation, but we've kind of figured out what we're doing for the next few months at Legion. And I'll be sure to get back to you when previews for these guys come out in like 2 months, and other announcements and stuff are detailed. So stay tuned for more Legion news. Alright, now that this video is in fact 1,000,000 years long, just like I said it would be, I'm going to let you guys go. Be sure to like this video if you liked it. If you have any comments on these units or anything else related to Legion, your next unit special expectations, go ahead and announce those. Give them to me in comments down below. Or you can join our Discord. That link is, as always, in the video description or on our channel page. And of course, if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel to keep getting all our great Star Wars Legion videos and all other kinds of content we put out. We put out a lot of stuff that might interest you. Keep an eye out. And consider hitting that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video. Or when we stream. We stream stuff sometimes. And of course, like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other things. And it really helps us out, so be sure to check that out. And be sure to check out our current actual play series. We're using FFG's Star Wars RPG rules to play a Clone Wars game, in fact. I'm the GM, and we got a lot of fun stuff going on. We just posted our second episode, which is named Swamp Music. There'll be a link to that in the end card, I think, along with the link to the rest of my Legion playlist if you want to check out some stuff you may have missed on some other units. Alrighty, I'm gonna let you guys go. And, yeah, I don't even know what I can say here. There's a lot of fun stuff, but, yeah. I could probably do a Cad Bane joke about I'm getting tired of paid to do this job, but I'm not.